Hey there, it's Kelly Riegel Green here at KG Law, located in Sterling Heights, Michigan. This is a series that we've started that will address help, hopefully, to explain the 12 best interest factors that are used by the courts here in Michigan to determine child custody and parenting time. So we've been working our way through them, and we're almost to the end. And hopefully, you've been finding this beneficial in your own case. As always, if you have a question, feel free to reach out to the office or to leave it below, and we'll get that answered for you as soon as possible. So the next factor is the willingness and ability of each party to facilitate and encourage a close and continuing parent-child relationship between the child and the other parent, or the child and the parents. A judge may not consider negatively, for the purposes of this factor, any reasonable action taken by a parent to protect a child or that parent from assault or domestic violence by the child's other parents. So, how well do you cooperate with the parenting time that's in a place? Do you say, do you let them go? Do you make it a big deal? Do you go, okay, so it's Saturday, it's time to go see dad, it's time to go see mom. Like, how do you handle that? Does either parent criticize the other parent in front of the child? That one's a hard one to prove in court. And so usually we just say, like, look, you cannot, first of all, you don't discuss court matters in front of your children. Your child should not, or children should not know what is going on in court. That you have an upcoming motion regarding child support because dad doesn't pay child support. Dad's taking mom to court because, like, mom's this way, or the divorce happened because mom's blah blah blah. Like, no, we don't do that in front of the child. So that's going to factor into this one. And then, will each parent encourage a relationship with the other parent? So it's going, hey, Susie, I know that you have a concert coming up. Let's make sure that we invite, parent Y, because I'm parent A. Let's make sure parent Y knows that you have a concert and that you would like them there. It's, those sorts of things. It's how well are you encouraging your children to have a relationship with the other party. Again, it puts in there the caveat that a judge, if there's a CPS investigation, then all bets are off. You have to, then it's, we don't expect you to, we do expect you not to talk negatively about the other parent during something like that. But certainly we're not saying you have to go visit that parent during a CPS investigation if the current CPS investigation says do not, or the police say do not. There are certain times like that. Those are few and far between in all my years of practice. So those are the exceptions, not the rule. The rule is, in general, you want to help facilitate your children having a relationship with the other party. So then the next factor is in regards to domestic violence, and whether or not the alleged domestic violence, or maybe it's not, maybe there's a conviction regarding domestic violence and police reports and stuff, whether that has affected the child or was witnessed by the child. And that can include threatening, emotional abuse, physical abuse, physically violent. We look to see if there's been a pattern of domestic violence that includes both physical and non-physical abuse on both ends. I've had dads who have been physically abused by spouses. I've had moms physically abused by spouses over the years. But did that happen in front of the child? And how did this abuse affect the child? Those are big ones that in my experience, a child witnessing domestic violence will be a huge, that probably weighs the most important out of all of the factors that we have, in my experience, have seen, at least in a short-term parenting time order. And then lastly is just any other factors that the judge finds relative. relevant. Does the child have special needs, and how does the parent take care of them? I have a case where child is dyslexic. Mom wants them to get special tutoring at Kumon. I want to say, is Kumon still a thing? I mean, in this case, it's been a little bit. Dad didn't believe that dyslexia existed and thought it was just a crutch used, so did not support any of that. Just thought that the child should try harder. That's going to affect what my judges do. If either parent has threatened to kidnap the child, that's going to be a huge thing. If either parent has missed visits with the child or failed to return the child from parenting time, if dad is constantly, or mom, if non-custodial parent is constantly skipping their Wednesday night overnight that they would have midweek, then they can't go into court and say, hey, I want more time, when you're not even utilizing all of the time that you currently have via the order. What you could do is say, hey, I can't do Wednesdays because of whatever, but I could take Thursdays and we could adjust the parenting time. But you're not going to get more if you're not even utilizing what you have, absent other circumstances. So are there siblings and other children whose custody is relevant to this child's custody agreement? So let's say there's a half sibling that comes on first and third weekends. Well, ideally we would want your custody with this child to also go with first and third, so that the half siblings can have a relationship together. Then we look at, are there significant others or new spouses whose relationships affect the child, and are they in the child's best interest? How far apart the parents live. That's important for a lot of different ways. Here in Michigan, we have what's called the 100-mile rule that says that a custodial parent can't move more than 100 miles from the original court order, absent another court order that says that they can, or by agreement of the parties. And that, because once you start getting past 100 miles, it's really hard to do that midweek overnight. It's really hard to do, or even just a dinner midweek. It's really hard to do a lot of, to look at the involvement of a lot of other things, like, getting the kid to school on time, it just affects, so, how that's going to determine a lot of how we proceed on a court order for parenting time. Then we look at, we also look at the age of the child. Really young child, especially a child who maybe is still being breastfed, their parenting time order is going to look very different than a child who's 16 and maybe has an after school job, or in extracurriculars, is on the swim team, is on the NHS, all these other things. It's going to be very different, those parenting times. So can we separate their parenting times and have different plans for both of them? And the answer is generally yes. So all of that weighs in, but under the last factor, that's where you're going to bring in anything else that you think may affect the child, that wasn't addressed in any of those beforehand. And again, those can be all addressed with your attorney ahead of time, and they should be addressed with your attorney, because sometimes we may be able to tell you, yeah, that's not really a thing. My judges don't really, that's not going to be a factor for them. So yeah, maybe I have a parent who is a teacher, so they're off during the summer, but during the school year, it's a little trickier, so they want most of their parenting time during the summer. I have some that, I'm just outside of Detroit, so we have a lot of auto workers. So we have times where our auto workers' plants are shut down for leave and stuff. So maybe they want to plan like their week's vacations and stuff, but they don't get a lot of time off during the summer. So we want to try to heavy hit more parenting time for that parent during the times where the plants are shut down, rather than in the summer where they're not going to really see the benefit of that. And really, it's not about the parent seeing the benefit of that. It's about the child. It's about the child receiving more of a benefit of that. So those are the 12 best interest factors that my courts view. Do you have any questions about those? If so, drop them down below, and don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.